Hi everyone, this is Anson from AnsonAlex.com. Tonight I would like to go over a beginner's tutorial for Google Calendar as of 2012. So in order to use Google Calendar, you first need to have a Google account. So if you don't already have one of those, go ahead and go to gmail.com and sign up for a new account. Get a Google account, and it comes with a lot of different features, and Google Calendar is one of the best ones. So once you have that, all you have to do is go to google.com/calendar. You could actually take off this stuff at the end, and you can just go to that address right there, hit enter, and it will take you to your Google Calendar. And in this tutorial, I'm pretty much going to go over a basic overview. There's a ton of features to Google Calendar. We don't have enough time to go over all of them, but this should definitely get you started off your feet, and then you can take a look at future video tutorials from AnsonAlex.com pertaining to more detailed aspects of Google Calendar. So once you log into Google Calendar, this is what your screen is going to look like. And I'm just going to close this bar up here. Do I want to allow Google Calendar to open all web links? Yeah. Might as well. That's the only calendar I use. But when you first log into Google Calendar, you can see there's obviously nothing on it because we don't have any events yet. But a couple things I want to do first to customize the interface so it's a little bit more manageable is you've got a mini calendar up here. Depending on the size of your screen, you could shrink this mini calendar so it doesn't display. But you definitely want to display this My Calendars drop down by clicking on the arrow on the left here. That's going to show you the different calendars that you have available to you. You can also drop down this Other Calendars list, and you'll see that there's a couple other calendars that you might want to be concerned with. What I'm mainly going to be talking about today is this calendar right here that has your name on it or the name of whatever account you're using. So for me, it's Anson Alexander. For you, it's going to be whatever the name of your account is. That's your personal calendar. That's the default calendar that is created when you create a Google account and open up Google Calendar. So if we look over to the right on our screen, we've got a calendar, and you can see that across the top go the days of the week, and down the side go the times. So in a few minutes, I'm going to show you how to create an event on this calendar, but there's a few other things that I want to show you first. One of which is you can change the dates up here on the top left. So right now we're in the weekly view, as we can see our different views, which I'm going to go over here in a second, but I'm looking at July 8th to July 14th. So let's say I want to look at the next week. I can just hit this right arrow, and now I'm looking at July 15th to July 21st. So that's how you can kind of navigate through different dates here in Google Calendar. So the other thing I want to show you that I kind of mentioned is the different calendar views. By default, we're at the weekly view, which I tend to find pretty useful if you have a bunch of daily events and stuff like that. However, once you start using Google Calendar pretty heavily, you might have more monthly events. So if you click on the month view, you'll see that you can kind of see what's coming up on different days throughout the month. So I have another video tutorial on Google Calendar that shows you how to set up bill pay reminders. If you're putting all of your bill due dates on a Google Calendar, it's probably going to be most helpful to look at the monthly view because you might have a payday here on this Friday, and then you've got 3 bills due the next week, then another payday. So you can kind of plan ahead with your finances and that kind of stuff. You could also look at the daily view, which is not very much information in a ton of space, so I don't usually use that one too much. 4-day view, similar to the weekly view, again, probably a little bit unnecessarily. An agenda view, we could take a look at a little bit later, but it basically creates a list of all of your upcoming events. So you can see all I have in here right now are U.S. holidays because I haven't created any events. But if I had a whole bunch of events coming up, this can be a really, really useful tool, especially if you've got a bunch of events in, say, one day. You can look at this agenda view, and it will show you, okay, at 8 o'clock you've got this meeting, at 9 o'clock you've got this meeting, and so forth. It can be very helpful. So I'm going to go back to our weekly view, and we're going to go ahead and create an event. So pretty simple to create an event. All I need to do is click on the day of the week and the time that I want to create an event. So let's say tomorrow's Friday. Let's say I have a lunch event tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to scroll up on my list here, and I'm going to click on Friday at 12 p.m. right in that box. When I do that, a little pop-up comes up, and it asks me what the event is. So I'm going to go ahead and give the event a name. I'm going to call it Lunch at Chili's, because Chili's is awesome. Obviously my opinion. Anyways, right here, I could go ahead and I could hit this Create Event button, and what it's going to do is it's going to create an event called Lunch at Chili's. By default, all events are 1 hour long, so it's going to create this event from 12 to 1 p.m. Generally speaking, when you create an event, you're probably going to want to specify a little bit more information about your event. So instead of hitting this Create Event button right off the bat, go ahead and hit this Edit Event link. And when you do that, it's going to take you to the event creation screen. And I just want to stop real quick here. Just want to let everybody know you do have a pause and rewind button here on YouTube or on AnsonAlex.com. I try and pound a bunch of information in a short amount of time, but please take advantage of those buttons if you're trying to follow along. You can pause, rewind, and go at your own pace. So I know if I'm going a little bit fast, you might want to try doing that, so I apologize. So anyways, back to this event creation screen. You can see that it already has lunch at Chili's in there because we entered that earlier. Down here, I could change the time of this event. So it might not be 12 to 1, maybe it's a long lunch, maybe it's 12 to 1:30. I could click in this box, and I could click on 1:30. You can see it has automatic half-hour intervals, but maybe let's say it was 1:15. I could enter that manually. I could delete out the zeros and put in 1:15. If it's an all-day event, you could put in all day, so that's good for vacations and that kind of stuff. Maybe you have a conference you're going to or something like that. Where's the event? It already put in Chili's. That actually seems like a new feature to me. It figured out where I was talking about. So if it didn't have something there, you could put it in there where the conference is or where the lunch would be. But Google Calendar is getting smarter and smarter by the day here, so it figured it out automatically for me. We want it on My Calendar. That's your personal calendar, so you can leave that as is. You can go ahead and enter a description for the event. So you might want to put in the reason why it's happening, or if it's a conference or a meeting, you could put in the topics that are going to be covered, whatever you think is necessary. Over here on the right is where you can invite guests. So you can go ahead and enter email addresses. And if the person has a Google account and you invite them, it's going to go ahead and it's going to show up on their Google Calendar, unless they want to remove it or something like that. But even if the person does not have a Google account, you can still enter their email address to invite them, and they'll get a pretty cool looking email that says, Anson Alexander, or whatever your name is, has invited you to an event at Chili's from 12 to 1:15 p.m. tomorrow on Friday, July 13th. And they can get that nice little invitation. They can add it to whatever calendar that they're using. So you don't have to have, your guests don't have to have a Google account for you to invite them using this guests feature. So it's a pretty cool feature. Down here, you've got your event color. That's just up to you. You can pick a color for a particular event if you want. But the reminders are pretty important. By default, you're going to get an email and a pop-up reminder 30 minutes before the event. So the pop-up reminders are only going to happen if you're in Google something. So if you're in Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Sites, Google Search, Google Documents, you'll get a pop-up. If you're at Yahoo Mail, you're not going to get a pop-up. So I actually tend to delete this one off because it's not very reliable, and I tend to stick with email reminders. I get emails on my mobile phone whenever I'm on a computer. I'm logged into Gmail, so they tend to be pretty reliable. And you can specify this reminder for any interval of time that you want. Right now, it's set for 30 minutes, but that I could change that to 30 hours, 30 days, 30 weeks, or maybe 3 days, 1 day. However you want to do it, you can set a specific reminder interval of time for that event. Down here, you'll see that you've got an option that says Show Me as Busy. You can just leave that as is. What that means is if somebody else tries to invite you to an event tomorrow from 12 to 1:15 p.m., it's going to pop up on the screen and say, Anson, or whatever your name, is already in an event tomorrow. Do you want to reschedule the event? So it lets people know that you're busy if they try and overschedule you with events. And privacy, by default, it's basically private. Nobody's going to be able to see this event unless you invite them, so you can leave that as is as well. And then when you hit Save, you'll see that you now have an event on your calendar that's called Lunch at Chili's. That's really all I want to go over for this beginner's tutorial. There's a bunch more information about Google Calendar. There's a bunch more features that you can do. You can share calendars with people. You can display multiple calendars at once. You can display, 3 calendars at once, 4 calendars. You can create different calendars for different things. You could have a work calendar and a personal calendar. There's a ton of features, but I think to get started, this is all the information you'll need. You now know how to create events. You can invite people to those events. You can set up reminders for your events. You can change your views. So just to kind of recap, if I go to my monthly view, you'll see I have a lunch at Chili's. Go to my daily view, nothing today. Go to tomorrow, there's my lunch at Chili's. Go to my agenda view, and you can see I've got all these holidays, but I also have a lunch at Chili's event scheduled. So hopefully that'll help you get started with Google Calendar. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, go ahead and leave them on the comments section here on YouTube or on AnsonAlex.com, and I hope it helps. This is Anson from AnsonAlex.com.